And welcome to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Ida Turbo Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, a.k.a. Super Terb, a.k.a. Coach Terb. And I can't be more than happy to have you here on my podcast. This is actually episode 10. And for many of you guys that are joining me for the first time, I started this podcast to talk about real estate, business, sports, and local beer in the Triangle, mainly for local business entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers in our marketplace. And I can't be more excited to have my guest today, Angela Taylor. She is the lead evening anchor for CBS Channel 17 here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Angela moved here with her family in 2018 and has been with the news since then. And prior to that, she actually moved from Florida. So I can't wait for her to tell her story, how she got started, and we'll talk a little bit of news. Before I get into that and bring Angela on the show, she's in the backstage waiting. I can look at her right now. I want to just touch briefly on some real estate tips, and something that I talked about last week was the coming soon sign, and does it help you sell your home in today's market? For anybody that's thinking about selling their home, yes, the coming soon sign is a big marketing tool. The question we get sometimes is, how long do we have the coming soon sign, Terb, and when should we post it, what have you? Most of the time when we go to a listing, our clients have work to do, whether that's painting, carpet, declutter. We have to get the home ready. So while we're doing that, we will put a coming soon sign in, as well as at the same time, we will list you live on MLS as a coming soon. It will show to the potential buyers out there and buyers agents when we're expected to go live. That way it creates the urgency. The agents already start calling, and when the home goes live, they'll then set up a time to go see it. We usually we piggyback an open house that weekend. And that way, again, when we go live, we have the activity that we have. Just last week, we had a home go live in Fuquay. We had it coming soon for about a week. Our clients had to get it decluttered and painted. We went live on a Thursday. We had 40 showings over the weekend, and we got multiple offers and sold it that Monday. We're actually even starting to see homes being sold sight unseen because buyers are losing out in these multiple offer situations. So they want to get into a position that they can hopefully get this home off the market before it actually goes live. Our inventory is just so low and the demand is so high, people are looking for property. So again, coming soons are very valuable in the real estate market, whether it's here locally in the Triangle in Raleigh or probably throughout the country. Quickly on sports, I know many of you guys probably watched one of my favorite Sundays, Championship Sunday. We watched the Bucs beat the Packers and we watched the Chiefs beat the Bills. So the Super Bowl should be very exciting. I'm planning on the Super Bowl Sunday, going to see my friends at Strike and Barrel, Dave and Katie Carmichael. So if you're in the area, you want to come and watch some football with me, that'd be great. Plus, I'm nearing the end of my 30-day no alcohol diet. By the way, Angela, your listening background, I am down 9 pounds. So I probably will put it all back on Super Bowl Sunday. So that should be a good time. So further ado, I'm going to bring Angela Taylor on the Super Terb Podcast here in just a couple seconds. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Angela. Angela Taylor, how are you doing? And first of all, welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm taping this also, for iTunes and Spotify. So we got little segments broken up. And then also, if you want to stay on for my last segment so we can feature the local beer of the week, that'd be pretty fantastic. So tell everybody out there your name and where you're from.
Angela Taylor, Raleigh, North Carolina now. Originally Dallas, Texas. Well, outside of Dallas, McKinney, Texas.
All right. And so give everybody, now you obviously are the lead anchor, Channel 17, CBS News. You do the evening broadcast. Tell everybody where you started, maybe where you just go. Let's start there. Where did you go to college?
So I went to undergrad at Angelo State University, which is in West Texas. I actually went on a college scholarship, which is what brought me there. Really had no intentions in getting in television. There was a broadcast teacher who asked me if I wanted to host a football show. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I know you're going to be disappointed, but I don't know much about football. I know football, soccer, because that was my thing. But I agreed to do it and sort of just fell in love with it. And that's how I got my start. And I started interning at a TV station in town, which is where I met my husband. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
That's awesome. So you went to, was it Angelo State?
Yep, Angelo State.
So when I coached I was a coach at Ouachita Baptist University. So I know that area real well. We played you guys. And I think you said you played football. or soccer.
Yes. We actually played Washita Baptist when I was in school there. And I think we lost, and we got in a lot of trouble from our coach.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So did you just, how many years did you play?
4 years.
So you played all 4 years of soccer then as you were there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you had this. So because it's interesting, a lot of people that I've been interviewing on the Super Terb podcast, a lot of them have a sports background. How would you say soccer or sports kind of molded or shaped you for your future or what you wanted to do?
It's funny because I always say I can tell when I meet people who's played a team sport and who hasn't. Because when you play a team sport, you have to learn teamwork and working with other people's strengths and weaknesses. And if you've never experienced that, it will be difficult for you in the workplace. And I'm not saying it just has to be sports. I mean, it can be any sort of club or anything that you've been a part of, but you can tell when people haven't had that sort of, those sort of relationships to sort of mold them as they go into the work field. But I would say, man, soccer taught me, that everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, and you just have to be willing to work with everybody. And I think that, I always say soccer definitely molded me in who I am and the way I approach things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that a lot of people that were in a competitive, like, for example, I didn't get to play college athletics. I was a manager for Charlotte, the Charlotte 49ers. And then, of course, they helped me get into my coaching career. But I think it just with scheduling competition, I think it really gets you ready for that next part of your life. So you briefly mentioned it, but so then you were in school. So then you say, I'm going to go into broadcasting.
Right. And so I changed my major to broadcasting, and I got an internship at the local TV station. It was a teeny tiny market. So they let me come in. They eventually hired me to be the morning associate producer, and then morning producer, and they let me report on the weekends. Of course, it was all for free, which was fine because I just wanted the experience. And so then they ended up hiring me after I graduated college, and I was their weekend anchor, weekday reporter for 6 months. And then the station that owned us had another station in Abilene, Texas, which was not too far away, which, Abilene Christian University. They hired me, and so I moved up there and was the main anchor there for about 5 years. A lot of stuff happened. I got married, had a baby. And so we ended up staying there a little bit longer than we had anticipated, but it was a good experience. And, we still have great friends there, and we love Texas. So yeah.
So you said you changed your major, obviously. Was that to communications, or was there a broadcasting major?
Yeah. So it was radio, TV, communications, and I had a minor in English and kinesiology.
Fantastic. So you started there, and then where did you the next steps or locations? What took you to where you are now? Okay. Give everybody the roadmap.
So after Abilene, Texas, our daughter was about to turn a year old, and Justin and I, that's my husband, decided that we wanted to be in a bigger city. So we actually I took a job in Northwest Arkansas, the Bentonville area, which I love Arkansas. You've lived there. I've talked to your wife about this. It's honestly one of my favorite states. It's so beautiful. It's such a hidden gem. We lived there for about 4 years, and then I took a job in Orlando, Florida, and that was a great experience. And then 3 years later, we moved here to Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's
so
awesome.
It's been kind of all over. We've moved every 3 years or so, but we're hoping to stay here.
Yeah, you had a bit. I don't know if you want to share the announcement, but it was pretty exciting that I heard yesterday that we'll talk about later. All right. Now, on your bio, and of course, we've talked in the past, you are an Emmy Award winner.
Yes.
So for people that may be watching this are like, wow, broadcaster, journalist gets an Emmy. What did you get your Emmys in, and how do you go about getting an Emmy? Because I think that's pretty cool.
It's absolutely bittersweet. I was living in Orlando at the time of the Pulse nightclub shooting. And if you don't know, it was a club. Omar Mateen went in and shot 49 innocent people, killed them. It was just an absolutely heartbreaking. I will never forget that day. My co-anchor waking me up at 2:30 in the morning and was like, you have to come to work. And I couldn't process what was happening. And finally he was like, there's been a shooting at a nightclub, you need to come in. And we were like, and I think I was on air for 15 hours that day, just reporting it as everything was unfolding. I mean, it was just an absolutely heartbreaking day. And I think it took us months to finally sit back and breathe. But my Emmy was in the coverage that I did that day, just the broadcasting. But every time I see my Emmy, I look at it and think about those 49 innocent people, because that was just, it was a really hard time.
Wow. Yeah, that's awful. So then when you got the Emmy, was that just through your fellow, I mean, is it a fellow other broadcasters or news anchors? Like, how do you win that? Is it?
So you actually have to submit for an Emmy. And so we submitted our work, and we were the ones that won, which was nice. It just, validated all the hard work that we had put in that night, that morning, the next day, and for the weeks to follow. Because it was extremely difficult. It's extremely an emotional time. And, that whole week we had a lot of, the Friday before the Pulse nightclub, Christina Grimmie, who was a voice star, was murdered in Orlando. Then the Pulse nightclub happened. And then on Wednesday, we had the little boy who was killed at Disney World by an alligator. And then a couple of days later, we had a Raleigh police officer, an Orlando police officer that was shot by a murder suspect, and another deputy that was killed. It was just a lot of stuff happening that week. It was just a really emotional time.
Wow. Yeah. I would say so. So obviously there's some, you were doing the reporting, and there's some like sad things. That leads me to my next question. What do you love most about your business or your job occupation? I
love people. Thing? You and I are so much alike, and your wife and I talk about this all the time, but we just love people. We love being around people. We love talking and sharing stories. And, I think I love that people feel comfortable coming to me and wanting to talk to me about their life or something that's happened, and me being able to share it, being able to help people. I mean, I have such a big platform that I'm really fortunate that I'm able to, help people in ways that maybe other people aren't. So.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that coming into the office today, is I just miss people. And it kind of leads me to my next question for you, but I just miss people. And, Jenna, my daughter, I've never seen, she was so excited this morning just to put her third quarter paperwork into a 3-ring binder. And I'm just thinking, and it's a whole nother topic, but I just can't wait for them to get back into school and be with friends. And then of course, us be able to do the same thing, because I think as a society as a whole, it's like, we're going to have to reacclimate ourselves back into the wild just to socialize. And I just miss that. So luckily, yes, I'm in a profession too, where not every day is the same. I get to help people, see people. And so I'm thankful for that. So talking about COVID, obviously that's affected everybody.
Oh, nightmare.
So how has that affected Channel 17, how you do your job? Is everybody in the studio? I mean, of course we watch you in the evenings, but there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes that you've had to adjust for that.
Right. So we actually are pretty strict, and we have had minimal cases, which has been great. But so our reporters and our photographers are not allowed in the building. They do all of their work remote, unless the photog comes in to get his equipment, but he has to go through a back door. We have some producers working in the producers, the ones that write the show. Some of them work from home as well. Our marketing team works from home. I mean, it's minimal staff and no visitors allowed. You have to wear a mask unless you're sitting at your desk, or if we're in the studio, and there's a limited number of people in the studio. So it's the anchors, the meteorologists, and then of course, the production staff member. But I mean, they're pretty strict about it. We have cleaning constantly. And again, like I said, minimal cases, which has been so nice, because, if one person gets it, you can take out an entire department. But I really feel like our station has done a great job of cleaning and just keeping everybody up to date. We report on this, so we know what the guidelines are. We know what they say. We know what we need to do. We all have our little Lysol wipes by our desk. We have our hand sanitizer. In fact, our engineers made sanitizer for us, like even put our little CBS17 logo on it, just so we always had it with us. And so, I think they've done a fantastic job. I'm thankful that I get to go to work. I don't know how my other coworkers that have to work from home. I imagine that's probably difficult since they're used to being around people. But I'm so thankful that I get to go into work and I, get to sit at my desk and go to my studio come home for dinner. For me, I still have a little bit of normalcy despite what's happening.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, at least you're able to, like I said, you and I are the same to where we can at least go out and we're still able to have, I mean,
right.
Obviously doing everything the right way, but we're at least able to see people. So what is as far as channel 17, CBS, what makes them different? What makes them separate themselves from the pack? What would you say people here in the triangle going to tune into the news? What's going to bring them to you guys?
So when I was brought in, it was sort of a revamp. They decided to get a new studio and have a new vision for what CBS17 was going to be. And I would just say that, I feel like we're more, I'm not knocking any of the other stations. I have friends at all of them, but we're a little faster paced. I feel like we have a little fresher of a look. We've got some magnificent reporters, some of the best storytellers that we work with. We have, I just think that we offer a unique perspective. We do a digging deeper. We really try to find not just the story on the surface, but what's underneath it. What can we do? For instance, we have this incredible reporter named Crystal Price. She's our Durham bureau reporter, and she, for a year now, has been uncovering these stories about the Durham Housing Authority and how these people were living in carbon monoxide. There was a huge crisis and nobody knew. And Crystal uncovered this amazing story to help these people. I mean, it was, she was able to take it to the CEO and they were able to move those people out, put them in a hotel until they could fix it. And there are still problems that she's reporting on, leaky pipes, broken stoves. I mean, so that's sort of what we do is we go for the deeper story and we work to try to help people that are struggling.
And bring it to the forefront. That's cool. That's cool. I think I actually saw that on yesterday's news.
Yeah.
See, I'm in tune. All right, so I'm gonna have some rapid questions for you here.
Okay.
All right, what's the most interesting story you covered? You may have already touched on that, but what's the most interesting?
The very first story I ever did was about a goat show. Ask my husband about it. So embarrassing.
We will do that. Okay. Coolest place you've been to cover news?
I went to New York and covered some stories there, and Washington, D.C. as well. Yeah.
Have you interviewed a president?
You know what? I haven't, but I have interviewed Dolly Parton, which I feel like is a president.
I was going to get to that next question because I was going to say, who's the coolest person you've interviewed? So other than Dolly Parton, because I mean, we've already seen that. Who's the coolest other than being on the Super Terb Podcast? Because I know that's going to be high up in your pecking order.
Jack, Vanna White. I've talked to like Taylor Swift and Justin Timberlake and Tom Cruise when I was living in Northwest Arkansas. I mean, I could go on for days.
Tom Cruise, that's cool.
But Dolly Parton is like up here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw your interview. I think, was it because she just had a birthday? I think it was.
She did, 75th.
All right, so give me some Anchorman moments. Anybody ever throw anything on the teleprompter? Anything you've done on air?
Oh my gosh.
Something we can YouTube?
No, but I have this. So there are a couple out there, but one of my so when I lived in Arkansas, everything goes back to Arkansas. I don't know if you remember this man who
same with us. We have a lot of stories from Arkansas.
I know, right? He was going around and I can't even say it, sucking on women's toes at the shoe store. I cannot make this up. You can Google this. The first time I said it, I was completely fine. The second time I had to talk about this toe sucker being caught, I lost it. I was laughing so hard I couldn't even get through the rest of the show. It was just one of those moments.
Is there something where can we find that? Is that on YouTube?
I don't know if you can find that one. There is another one where my co-anchor, oh bless his heart, Craig Cannon, he retired. He's funny. If you Google him, you'll see him. He lost his teeth in the middle of a broadcast. That was before my time. But anyway, he was doing this story about this man who escaped police custody, and he literally says on TV, but he can't get very far because he only has one leg. And I was supposed to read, and I just stopped. And so Craig starts talking, and then and then we just both start laughing. That's on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah. Do you write your own, like, when you read the teleprompter, is that written for you, or do you write that?
So the producers write it, but we always go in and change it so that it's right, so that it sounds like something coming from me.
It's not a surprise or something, so you can say,
Oh, I don't do surprises.
All right. So this could be the open-ended question, but I always like to ask people where they want it. Where do you see yourself in 5 years with your career? I mean, hopefully it's still here in Raleigh, but do you have larger aspirations? I know you just got a master's, correct?
I did. I just, in December, I graduated with my master's in criminal justice, which was a nice long 2 years, but totally worth it. Before I had Turner, my daughter, she's now 11, I would have said, I want to go to the network. I want to be in New York. But after we had her, our goals sort of changed. We wanted to live in a place that was family friendly, that, gave her lots of opportunities, gave us what we wanted as well. And we found that here in Raleigh. We've got the beaches, we've got the mountains, we've got great friends. We live in a fantastic neighborhood. My daughter loves school. And so honestly, if we stay, this could be our forever place. And, my family's all in Texas and we love them. We love to visit them, but it's always just been us three. And so we really hope that this is our final stop.
That's very, very cool. We hope so too. So going back to broadcasting, if anybody's watching this or listening and they want to get into broadcasting, what would be the best advice you give them to start that track?
I would say the first thing you need to do is find an internship. Find your local TV station and just work. The hands-on experience is probably the best. I mean, you learn the other side of it in school, but to really know how this business works, you just need to get into a newsroom. And I'm just going to tell you, you're going to be poor when you start out. My first job, I made $17,000 a year. $17,000. I was so poor.
It reminds me of coaching.
Right. And so, I mean, you have to be willing to make the sacrifices that come along with being in television. People think it's like this glamorous job, and it's not. I mean, we're journalists. We're not fashion models. I cannot tell you how many complaints we get about the clothes we wear or the way our hair looks a certain day. It all comes down to that we're journalists and we're storytellers. And if you want to be in this business, find an internship or find a mentor. Find somebody, if somebody's watching and listening to me and they're interested, contact me. All my contact information is online. I'd be happy to help you, assist you, introduce you to people. It's all about who you know in this business. And so that's my advice.
It's very, how you describe that, obviously before I got into real estate with my mom and the team in 2006, my aspirations was to be a Division I head basketball coach, which obviously led me to Arkansas at Ouachita Baptist. And similar scenario, people see all the high major, all the big coaches that make 7-figure contracts, and they just think that's it. And it's so far from the truth as far as where you start. And I have great stories. And really the ultimate reason for Leslie and I to move home was, am I ready to move 5 times in 5 years to chase this? And the answer was no. So I got to experience it. I got to touch it. At the same time, family and value of life trumped that. But it's very similar to that. So, all right, last question, and we'll get to the local beer of the week.
Okay.
I always like this question. What is the best advice you've ever received, and by who?
Oh, okay, that's a hard one. You put me on the spot. I should have gotten these questions ahead of time.
No, see, I'm on the other side of the table today, baby. That was the whole. I like this.
I know. I'm not. Now I feel bad for all the people that I have to interview. The best advice, I would say everyone always told me just to be myself. I mean, and that was from my professors, and they always said, don't try to be, a Katie Couric. Don't try to be, don't try to be anybody else. Just be who you are, and that's what will make you successful. And I would say that I've been really lucky that I've got a beautiful family. I have a job that I love. I have friends that I love, and so I feel extremely blessed to just have done that and been true to me the whole time.
Cool. That was a good answer. Good answer. All right. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the Super Terb Podcast. It's been great to even get to know you a little bit more with your career and helping and letting people hear that. Again, if you guys want to check out Angela on her evening noons, what time's your broadcast?
So I'm Monday through Friday from 5 to 6:30, and then again at 11. Check us out. Even if you're loyal to another station, I think that you will like what you see. We really do have a great product, and, reach out to me if you've got questions. Just don't complain about what I'm wearing, so I will not be nice.
All right, we'll make sure of that. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to sign off for a second, but really, we're not signing off. I'm just for the podcast, for the audio version. I'm going to take a quick second, guys. Quick break here. And on the other side, we're going to wrap up the Super Terb Podcast featuring the local beer of the week. And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host again, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Ida Terb Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, aka Super Terb, aka Coach Terb, and I'm here for my final segment, my local beer of the week. As you know, I love beer. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to taste it since January 4th, but I still want to feature it. So instead of a local beer today, I'm going to do kind of what I did last week. I'm going to feature a great brewery that you can check out if you haven't been there. And of course, I'm going to post and tag, and maybe you can let me know. Angela, I'm sure you guys have been there, but Compass Rose Brewery in Raleigh. You been there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Compass Rose Brewery, guys. It's an awesome spot. It's been there since 2015. It's kind of near Gresham Lake area and Capitol Boulevard. It's got a tap room of over 5,500 square feet. It's dog friendly. Now, of course, this was obviously with COVID, things may have changed. So you may want to call ahead to make sure, but it's dog friendly. They've had food trucks. They have live music. And I believe they have local, all their local breweries on tap, as well as some that you can take growlers home. So go check them out. They're great. I mean, we've had great experiences there. So again, I'm going to put them in the post here, as well as I always like to tag my friends at Taylor's Wine Shop off Six Forks Road, North Raleigh, north of 540 off Six Forks, across my old stomping ground subdivision of Pannonia. Back then, Angela, it was actually variety pickup. And then Taylor's over. Now, Taylor's is a great place, guys, to check in. And they have great wine, as well as all the local beer that we're talking about, craft beer. So go by and see them, pick them up. But again, thank you so much for joining me. And till next week, guys, again, it's Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Ida Terb Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, aka Super Terb. And remember, who you work with matters. I'll see you next week. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks.